Hey guys, good morning. We have some news, and that is that Elizabeth Warren has dropped out of the race for 2020. This is news that we knew was coming based on yesterday, based on her performance from Super Tuesday. We were kind of on hold all day yesterday, waiting and waiting to see if Elizabeth Warren would indeed drop out. And here we are this morning. She just announced, or she hasn't actually come out publicly and said anything herself. She will do that later on today. But it has been reported now that Elizabeth Warren has dropped out of the race. There is no word yet on any endorsement. So we don't know if she plans to endorse no one. We don't know if she plans to endorse Bernie Sanders. And we don't know if she plans to endorse Joe Biden. So that's the news. Let's wait for some more people to come on in to the live stream. So smash that like button. The more you hit the like button, the more people see the stream. It's just how YouTube's algorithm works. So smash it, smash it, smash it. Also, we are just 200 members away from 2,000 members, which is absolutely extraordinary. And I wouldn't bring this up at the top. I know you guys just don't want a sales pitch, but truly, Status Coup membership is extraordinary because you get behind the scenes reporting, you get monthly member calls live with Jordan and myself, and it's a lot of fun. You get so much extra content, just $5 a month, $5 a month, statuscoup.com/join. Keep smashing that like button. Also, we don't send out text notifications all the time when we're live, but we do when we're at rallies and things like that. So text Coup, C-O-U-P, to 474747. And every time I say that, I want to make a Joe Biden joke, but I know it's been driven into the ground. I just think it's so funny. Go to Joe 30333, whatever he said. Anyway, text Coup, C-O-U-P, to 474747. You'll have to excuse my hair and my face and everything because I just was kind of working from bed. And all of a sudden, Elizabeth Warren drops out, so I quickly threw myself kind of together. But I know you guys don't care. You're progressive. You don't care what I look like. So please continue to smash that like button. Text Coup to 474747. Also, join our email list. Go to statuscoup.com, and you'll see a box where you can input your email address, and then we can notify you that way of breaking news and things like that. And there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. You can leave super chats in the super chat area and the live chat area, which really helps us out because we need your help. This is an announcement right here. I am going to Michigan for the primary. There's a big Bernie Sanders rally in Grand Rapids on the 8th. So we will be there live. We will bring that to you live. Michigan is a huge state, especially after Super Tuesday's kind of more disappointing showing than a lot of progressives would have liked. So also share this stream on all your social channels, Twitter, Facebook group, subreddits. There are tons of progressive subreddits and things like that where you can get the word out about Status Coup. We're a really small team. It's really just Jordan and myself. So any help you can give us in spreading the word is very much appreciated. If you're just now joining the chat, Elizabeth Warren will be dropping out. It has been officially reported. She will be giving a press conference later on today. So we do not know at this point whether she has endorsed no one, or whether she will endorse no one, will endorse Bernie Sanders, or will endorse Joe Biden. I know a lot of people are trying to not get their hopes up right now that Elizabeth Warren, if she were truly the progressive hero that she purports to be, then it would be obvious who she would endorse. But in fact, we do not know, and we cannot assume who she will endorse. And a lot of people think that she'll go ahead and endorse Biden. We do know that she has spoken to both camps. She's spoken to the Bernie Sanders campaign as well as the Joe Biden campaign. So no word on that. I do want to mention that our friends at CNN, and I use friends in air quotes, of course, our friends at CNN, basically, as soon as this announcement was made, had Simone Sanders come on, who of course is with the Joe Biden campaign, and basically give a commercial for Joe Biden in effort to sway Elizabeth Warren supporters over onto their side. So I don't know. I'm seeing some super chats come in, so I'm gonna keep waiting for more people to show up. But first, I will read the super chats before we really dive into the reporting here. Thank you, Yellow Vest America, $5 in the super chat. The snake poem. Yeah, I think that speaks for itself. Thank you, Yellow Vest. Yellow Vest, by the way, is awesome on Twitter. I think I heard or saw that you are no longer on Twitter. Maybe you're back now, but Twitter's been real draconian lately with their ban hammer. So hopefully you're back. Some really great stuff from Yellow Vest. Fluoxy, or who said that? Someone said, yay, it's Jen. Yeah, Fluoxy said, oh my gosh, it's Jen. It is, it's me. Jordan actually has an ear infection, so he's not feeling well at all. He is in the super chat, so give him some love. He's had a real rough ride of it. Status Coup, $10 in the super chat. So that would be Jordan. We just booked out our travel to cover the Michigan primary. Costs are racking up. We have covered Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, and California. Support us if you can. Please, please, please. I don't want to beg you, but we are, as much as we're growing and as much as our memberships are zooming, our travel costs are absolutely enormous. So we definitely need your help. You can help us out with super chats. You can go to paypal.me/statuscoup. You can go to gofundme.com/status-coup-news, and you can help us out at any amount. It really, really is helpful. If I look down, it's because I am looking down at my phone, because Jordan is texting me information and things like that, because this is live reporting. We are getting things in as we speak. So please support us. Super chats help, and GoFundMe's help, and PayPal helps, and membership helps. Statuscoup.com/join. You want to keep us in the field because we are really the only ones out there who are doing it like we're doing it. Okay, let's see here. 80 Siva D80, $4.99 in the super chat. Thanks for all the hard work you guys do for us. To get us the real news. It is all for you. It is all for you, the viewers, and you guys are the reason we're able to. So thank you so much. Ophelia Balls, lovely, lovely name there. I'm not going to assume that's your given name. Thanks for the live update. Of course, that's what we do. We bring you the information and news live as much as we can. It's really, really important to us that we keep you informed. Okay. So tell Jordan I need a raise. So actually, Jordan and I are co-founders, so it's not telling him that we need a raise, but the fact is we both are able to take a little bit more money, and we are not earning, we don't take a lot of money. We don't take what would normally be considered, a salary for the amount of work we do, which is basically 24/7. But so yeah, the more you guys support us, the more we're able to be in the field, and honestly, the more we're able to earn what people would normally earn in a full-time job, which we don't at this point. So yes. Okay. I don't want to keep babbling. I was waiting for more people to come. Keep smashing that like button. We have 620 people watching right now, 350 likes. Keep smashing that like button. If you're just joining us, Elizabeth Warren has dropped out of the race. She will hold a press conference later. There is no word yet on whether she will endorse anyone or if she will endorse Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders. Also, I will be bringing on Jordan live via phone with this high-tech place that we have here at Status Coup. But again, the more you support us, the more we are able to grow and do. Let's dive into the reporting here via the New York Times. I think we got a good set of people here watching out. One second here. So Elizabeth Warren, once a frontrunner, will drop out of presidential race. Ms. Warren, a senator and former law professor, staked her campaign on fighting corruption and changing the rules of the economy. So that's up for debate as to whether she actually held that stance throughout time or if she kind of wavered in that. And I think I know a lot of progressives who will say that she did not, in fact, have any conviction and she did not want to continue fighting corruption, especially with her super PAC that she got later on in the race supporting her. And she did not disannounce, or what's the word? She didn't say no to it. She accepted their help. So how much did she really want to fight corruption? So this is reporting out of Boston. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts plans to drop out of the presidential race on Thursday and will inform her staff of her plans later this morning, according to a person close to her, ending a run defined by an avalanche of policy plans that aimed to pull the Democratic Party to the left and appealed to enough voters to make her briefly a frontrunner last fall. But that proved unable to translate excitement from elite progressives into backing from the party's more working class and diverse base. So let's take a second to think about how quickly this race has moved. This primary is absolutely insane. Months ago, a couple of months ago, Elizabeth Warren was a frontrunner in this race. And now here we are, she's dropping out. We thought Joe Biden was dead on arrival, not literally, but the saying, I just want to make that clear. He was dead on arrival, and we thought, maybe Joe Biden will be dropping out. And honestly, with his cognitive issues, I think it is awful, and I don't mind saying it, that he should not be in the race, and his family members and his staff and his friends and everyone who is literally propping him up should not be doing so, because it is putting the country at risk. So we thought Joe Biden might be out previously. We thought Elizabeth Warren was a front runner previously. She did not perform in the races so far, in the contest so far. So she's dropped out, and Joe Biden is now the front runner. Bernie Sanders was previously the front runner, and arguably he's, still a front runner. He's not so far behind in delegates, but the media narrative now with how many states that Joe Biden has won is just out of control against Bernie Sanders. So I think it's just important to pause and think about how quickly this race has changed. It's absolutely insane. Though her support had eroded by Super Tuesday, in her final weeks as a candidate, she effectively drove the centrist billionaire, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, out of the race, with debate performances that flashed her evident skills and political potential. She entered the race railing against the corrosive power of big money. And oh my gosh, that's what drives me crazy. These reporters, these journalists report on the fact that she railed against big money, except she took big money. She took big money in the form of a super PAC. Is anyone going to talk about that, or are they going to rewrite history again and again? That's what we talked about in yesterday's live stream. The fact that they are rewriting history with Bloomberg dropping out, they're rewriting his history. Now with Elizabeth Warren, they're rewriting her history. Yes, she's done a lot. She has done a lot to fight against big money corruption. But in the end, she didn't have any convictions on that. She's changed over the years. What happened to progressive Elizabeth Warren? Was she co-opted by big money? It certainly seems like it, and I don't think that's even disputable when you look at her super PAC support. I want to take a second to say welcome to new member Mayra. We are now at 1,801 members. Keep signing up for as low as $5 a month. Yay, Mayra. I'm so happy you've joined us. Hooray. Keep joining, guys. Keep joining. I'm going to keep reporting and reading this to you and talking about Elizabeth Warren, but I definitely want to welcome our new members. We appreciate you. statuscoup.com/join. Do it, do it, do it. She entered the race. I already read that part. One long-term consequence of her campaign is that Ms. Warren demonstrated that someone other than Senator Bernie Sanders and his intensely loyal small-dollar donors could fund a credible presidential campaign without holding fundraisers. Also, remember, Elizabeth Warren transferred... This is what drives me so crazy. This reporting is so nuts. They leave out so many details that we here at Status Coup will definitely inform you of. So Elizabeth Warren did hold big money fundraisers, and she transferred it into her presidential campaign. And then for optics, she said she wasn't taking any big dollar donations. So not only did she have corrupt money in her campaign, but she also accepted it in the form of a super PAC. And I can't say that enough, because it drives me wild that the New York Times and friends are not reporting on this accurately. Her potential endorsement is highly sought after in the race, and both Mr. Sanders and former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. have spoken with Ms. Warren since Super Tuesday, when the end of her campaign appeared imminent. So a lot of people, including Simone Sanders, who went on a lot of the fact that Elizabeth Warren has spoken to Joe Biden's campaign, because you can kind of paint a picture there of, oh, why would she be speaking to Joe Biden's campaign? She must be endorsing him. And honestly, I think that's probably likely the case. But she spoke to both campaigns. And I think that's reasonable given that she was once a frontrunner. She's really prominent in this race, or she was. And so obviously she would speak to the two camps. She would obviously speak to Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. I don't think we can really read anything into that right now. Ms. Warren's political demise was a death by 1,000 cuts, not a dramatic implosion, but a steady decline. Last October, according to most national polls, Ms. Warren was the national pacesetter in the Democratic field. By December, she had fallen to the edge of the top tier, wounded by a presidential debate in November where her opponents relentlessly attacked her. She invested heavily in the early states with a ground game that was the envy of her rivals, but it did not pay off. In the first 4 early voting states, Ms. Warren slid from 3rd place in Iowa to 4th in New Hampshire and Nevada to 5th in South Carolina. By Super Tuesday, her campaign was effectively over, with the final blow of a 3rd place finish in the primary of her home state, Massachusetts. The news clarifies that a Democratic field that began with a record number of female candidates has now become a contest between Mr. Biden, 77, and Mr. Sanders, 78. And that's an important point, I think, is honestly on a level from being a woman. Yeah, I think it would be cool to have a female president. And by saying it would be cool, it doesn't mean that that's why I would ever vote for a woman. I would vote based on policy. There was a time where I was excited about Elizabeth Warren. I never preferred her over Bernie Sanders, but she quickly showed her true colors. And just because she's a woman, just because she has female body parts, doesn't mean I'm going to vote for her. And honestly, I think everybody should vote based on policy and not based on identity politics. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we're in the mess we're in. So there's that. But then there's also the fact that it had to be really difficult for her to make this decision, because there are so many people who are rooting for a female president just to have a female president. So other than Tulsi Gabbard, who is still in the race and who does have a delegate from American Samoa, Elizabeth Warren was the last woman standing. So I do want to acknowledge that it is really sad for a lot of women, for a lot of people who wanted to see a female president. I totally understand that and get that. So no matter what we think about Elizabeth Warren, her policies, her flip-floppery, the fact is that it is a sad moment for her. She is a human being, and that hope because let's be honest, Tulsi Gabbard is not going to become the next president. She just doesn't have a path to victory at all. We're not going to have a female president this time around either. Our popular vote president, Hillary Clinton, is not the actual president, and we're not going to have one in 2020. So I just think that's an important note there. Ms. Warren's exit also clears the party's left lane for Mr. Sanders, who had a more muted showing on Super Tuesday than polls had predicted. The Sanders campaign will now aim to attract enough of Ms. Warren's ideologically progressive supporters to put him over the top in a closely contested primary. Ms. Warren arrived on the political scene in the aftermath of the 2008 financial collapse and shot to superstardom with her indictments of Wall Street and unfettered capitalism. In 2016, some progressive organizations mounted Run, Warren, Run campaigns, and her eventual presidential rival, Mr. Sanders, floated her name as a possible challenger to Hillary Clinton, but Ms. Warren resisted the urge to run then. And this shows us how far we've come, or how not far we've come, progressive-wise, because actually those Run, Warren, Run people, the people who are calling for Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016, that's back when a lot of people thought that she was an actual progressive. A lot of the people I don't know if a lot's the right word, but some of the people who are involved in People for Bernie, which is a really prominent group that supports Bernie Sanders. You'll see them all over social media. Winnie Wong, who now works for the Bernie Sanders campaign, was part of them. I don't know if she technically still is. Probably not. I don't know if there's a conflict there or whatever. The point is that she was one of the people behind the calls for Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016. So now we have it shown that Elizabeth Warren, in a lot of people's eyes, is not a true progressive. For, centrist, normie Democrats, she might seem progressive, but we've talked a lot about her conviction and if she actually is. So I think it's interesting to see the trajectory here. Jordan sent me a text earlier that I think is important to note. So we have her in 2012 where she was thought of as this like badass progressive. And then it was revealed through WikiLeaks that she was actually negotiating with Hillary as early as 2015 for a role in her campaign should she win. And then in 2016, she, of course, did not endorse Bernie Sanders, which was a huge disappointment and kind of the first indication to a lot of Bernie Sanders style progressives that Elizabeth Warren wasn't truly on their team. So we also have the fact that she didn't go to Standing Rock, and which was just highly disappointing to a lot of people because she didn't talk about Standing Rock to my knowledge, to any degree, but at least to any degree that made a difference at all. And then, of course, she's flip-flopped a lot. So that's a great point by Jordan, kind of how her path from badass progressive to not really anything, just kind of playing the party lines and playing progressive, to be quite honest. I want to say welcome. One second, let me look. Welcome to new member Martin. Martin, thank you so much for joining. Yay! So happy you joined. Very, very exciting. You'll get great bonus content, and so will everyone else who joins. Just $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join. Okay, let's go back here. 4 years later, when Ms. Warren did decide to pursue the Democratic nomination, she entered a changed political terrain, a challenging landscape whose obstacles she was never able to overcome. Mr. Sanders' political stock had soared after he ran against Mrs. Clinton in 2016, giving him an immediate advantage in fundraising and name recognition that complicated Ms. Warren's electoral path. I really dislike that framing by the New York Times. They're saying that because Bernie Sanders had name recognition and that he'd already run in 2016, that is why he succeeded in fundraising like crazy from the grassroots. That's not why. It's because Bernie Sanders has actual people, the people of this country supporting him. The fact that he out fundraised Elizabeth Warren dramatically wasn't because of his name recognition. It wasn't because he ran in 2016. That's crazy. It's because he has people behind him. Literally people who want a revolution and are so passionate that Bernie Sanders has all of this money from the grassroots and not from dark donors. What? This article is wild. So when you read these things, that's what I like to do, is like pick out the way that they are spinning things and presenting things to look a certain way to the audience. It's wild. I just had to get that in there. And Donald J. Trump was not just a reality TV star and one of many potential Republican rivals. In 2020, he was the president, and his election seemed to shock the Democratic base into an electability-induced stupor. Voters constantly second-guessed their electoral choices as they tried to game out which candidate would be best equipped to beat him. Mr. Biden in particular has capitalized on this anxiety to drive voters to his candidacy. I won't read all of this. I just think a lot of it's really interesting to look at. So here's advice from Elizabeth Warren that I want to point out. Here's my advice. Cast a vote that will make you proud, Ms. Warren told voters on Super Tuesday, speaking in Detroit. Cast a vote from your heart. Vote for the person you think will make the best president of the United States. So while we don't have an endorsement from Elizabeth Warren, that seems kind of reasonable, right? To assume that if people are casting a vote from their heart, then that would be Bernie Sanders, not Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who can't remember where he is, what race he is running for, the Barack Obama's name, that it's Super Tuesday, not Super Thursday, which, by the way, because Jordan quoted Joe Biden saying Super Thursday, he got suspended on Twitter briefly, which was just absurd. So we have this person who is literally spreading disinformation about campaigns, is saying vote Super Thursday. We have him now as the front runner of the people that people are pushing, that the media is pushing, which is just really, it's depressing. This is a guy who should be at home. This is a guy who can't remember where he is. This is a guy who is yelling at supporters and telling them to vote for other people instead because he's so agitated. I'm not a doctor, but if anyone has dealt with someone who is sundowning in their family, I'm just saying that some of the same signs are there. And Joe Biden does not seem to be doing well. Excuse me, let me get a sip of water here. He does not seem to be doing well. And if people are voting from their heart of someone who they think can beat Donald Trump, that candidate is Bernie Sanders. That candidate's not Joe Biden, who will be crushed in any debate against Donald Trump. There's a reason why Joe Biden isn't giving a ton of interviews and isn't speaking to a lot of media and isn't speaking to a lot of supporters, because every time he does, he messes up. Every time he does, he has a moment. And honestly, these things get worse and worse. Can you imagine 4 years of this? So if people are listening to Elizabeth Warren's words of wisdom there, I think she's talking about Bernie Sanders. Now, will she actually endorse Bernie Sanders? I think there's just a very slim chance. A lot of people don't want to get their hopes up, and I think that's reasonable because she's shown her true colors. She's shown that she doesn't have conviction. And I keep using that word conviction because I really think that to me sums up Elizabeth Warren. She says a lot of cool things that progressives want and care about, but in the end, no conviction. Welcome new member Michael. Welcome new member Ruben. Keep them coming. Statuscoup.com/join. Yay! Thanks for joining, guys. Again, you'll get tons of great stuff. Statuscoup.com/join. You help us stay in the field. I'm going to Michigan soon for the primary, so any amount really, really helps. PayPal.me/statuscoup and or GoFundMe.com/status-coup-news. Alrighty. Let's see here. So here they go on to talk about the fact that Elizabeth Warren had a lot to do with her operation, the way her campaign worked. So at times, Ms. Warren's campaign did not reflect the urgency of a candidacy trying to make history, not only as the first female president, but also through a program of systemic upheaval that would include government-run healthcare, free public college, student debt cancellation, breaking up big tech companies, universal child care, and significant tax increases on the wealthiest individuals and corporations. Excuse me. So that's, I think, a lot of the reason that Elizabeth Warren started to decline is because people saw through it. People saw through when she wavered on Medicare for All, and that's when her polling started to drop. You can see it. Her polling dropped when she wavered on Medicare for All. Because that's what people want. That's what people dramatically, across party lines, support in this country. During debates ahead of the votes in Iowa and New Hampshire, 2 states where Ms. Warren had invested many of her presidential hopes, she took a backseat to other candidates like Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar. Her campaign chose not to invest heavily in television advertising and was dominated on the airwaves in early voting states like Iowa and New Hampshire. Its bet on organizing staff failed to change the picture. She had also embraced a vague message declaring her the unity candidate, dropping the policy-focused message that had seemed to resonate with voters early on and pitching herself as the electoral compromise between the left wing dominated by Mr. Sanders and the moderate wing led by former Mr. Biden. It did not work. So we, of course, don't have any more information apart from that to this point, or at this point. So she's going to give a press conference later on. That's what we know. She's going to give more information. We don't know who she will endorse. We don't know if she will endorse anyone. I have a feeling that a lot of progressives will be disappointed. I hope that I'm wrong. Let me read a couple of super chats here before I move on. As Jordan typed so helpfully in the chat, we are now 197 members away from 2,000. I know that we can do it. 2,000 members would mean so much to us, not because we just want 2,000 members, but because it helps keep us in the field. Jordan and I had a long talk about going to Michigan, about me going to Michigan or not going to Michigan. And that's because we just don't have the money. You know, we had to take out a loan in order to do some reporting, or to do some marketing things, in order to go in the field, to make some more minor equipment purchases. So the way that works through PayPal is they take a percentage of everything you earn for until you pay it back. So we're working on paying that back. We are reporting like crazy. We've been to Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, California. Now we're going to Michigan. That's a lot. That's a lot for any news organization. That's a lot, especially for us as a very, very small startup with really just Jordan and myself. So please keep the super chats coming. It helps so much. Please keep the memberships coming. Statuscoup.com/join. You'll get a cheer. Yay. If you join, you'll also get really cool stuff, including a monthly members call with Jordan and myself, where we give way too much information away. You can also go to paypal.me/statuscoup and support us at any amount. They just let you type in any amount that you want to support. And or gofundme.com/status-coup-news. Kelly Elaine, $20 in the super chat. Thank you as always. She says, thanks, Jen. Your research for us is outstanding. Thank you, Kelly. We appreciate you so, so much. I can't stress it enough. You're just so fantastic. And I think I saw some other ones in here. Keep smashing that like button, guys. Let's get this viewership up. Let's try to get it up over 1,000. Share it everywhere as well. Robert Coplin, $5 in the super chat. Thank you so much, Robert. We really, really appreciate it. It helps a ton. And sorry while I scroll here. Gabriel Arcari and 100, whatever they have in Sweden. Sweden bucks. Sending some love from Sweden. Thank you so much as always, Gabriel. We really, really appreciate you so much. Statuscoup.com/join as well. And I okay. So let's move on here from fundraising. Tanya H, €5 in the super chat. Join. It's great. Thank you so, so much. Nicole Lambert, $4.99 in the super chat. Wish I had more, but we love you guys. Yes, thank you so much. Amazing. Really appreciate the support. Okay, so I want to show you something important. And again, this is just polls. But we have here from the Morning Consult poll of Warren supporters' second choice. It's Sanders at 43% and Biden at 36%. So they point out that this was conducted before Michael Bloomberg dropped out yesterday. But if we're talking about whether or not this will help will help Bernie Sanders, I think it's likely that most of her supporters will go to Bernie Sanders, but not all. So if you're thinking, okay, so Elizabeth Warren is progressive, right? Her supporters are progressive, right? They're just definitely going to go to Bernie Sanders. That's not the case. Again, that's Sanders 43%. So 43% of Warren supporters' second choice was Bernie Sanders, and 36% to Biden. So Bernie has more support from Warren supporters, but so does Biden. So it's not going to be the case that just literally all of Warren supporters go to Bernie Sanders. He's still going to have to fight for those supporters. He's still going to have to fight for to convince people that he is the true progressive candidate. And unfortunately, I think a lot of Elizabeth Warren, and this is what I gather, a lot of Elizabeth Warren supporters were supporting her because she's a woman, and the policy part was always secondary for these people. And also, they really wanted someone who could defeat Donald Trump, which is understandable. But a lot of those people will go to Joe Biden. So it's going to be a battle it's going to be a battle for these supporters. It's not a given. So never accept that it's a given, especially when it comes to Elizabeth Warren. And as I mentioned, CNN earlier today, or earlier this morning, just a short while ago, let Simone Sanders of the Joe Biden campaign go on and basically give an ad and give an appeal under the guise of an interview to try to get these Elizabeth Warren supporters. So that's really frustrating to a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters. So most of her supporters will probably go over to Bernie Sanders, but a lot of them, more than a lot of people think or suspect, will go to Joe Biden. So a very, very important point there too. Her endorsement of Bernie Sanders, though, would be absolutely critical. It would be just, again, a lot of progressive people don't want to get their hopes up. They don't want to get their hopes up that that Elizabeth Warren would actually hold to her ideals and support and endorse Bernie Sanders. They hope that that will happen, but I don't know that it will. I think she'll couch it, if she endorses Joe Biden, I think she'll couch it as, oh, we need the candidate who will defeat Donald Trump, and he has the most support behind him right now, so we need to support him. But if she endorsed Bernie Sanders, can you imagine what that would do? Then I think a lot more of her supporters would go on over to Bernie. I think that they are waiting, and Jordan said this, they're waiting for permission to go on over to Bernie, because there's this perception now of Bernie in the media and among a lot of Elizabeth Warren supporters that Bernie and his supporters are just misogynist, terrible, mean people. And that could be cut through. Elizabeth Warren could cut through that mess and those lies by simply, and I say simply, but it truly would be simple to endorse Bernie Sanders and to actually show us that she is that person we thought she was back in 2012 and before 2016. She could show progressives that she truly believes in the progressive message, because Joe Biden may as well be a Republican. Jordan's giving me a note that he has to go soon. So we're going to go ahead and call Jordan now, get his take on all this. 1 second here. Our high production value.
Hello.
Hello, Jordan.
Hello.
So what do you think?
I think people should sign up as a member to Status Coup for as low as $5 a month. Jen's headed to Michigan. There's a contest in Ohio and other states the week after that. And it looks like we are in for the contest of our lives. Middle-class Uncle Joe Biden versus the progressive movement and everything our viewers are fighting for. So sign up, statuscoup.com/join.
Look, a new member!
Yeah, we're getting a lot of new members. I have an ear infection, so I'm headed to the doctor. But on Elizabeth Warren...
Anat in the background. Hello, Anat.
Hi, Jen.
On Elizabeth Warren, I think that a lot of Bernie Sanders progressives that are on the campaign level are going to be very diplomatic today. I think that's smart. Whatever you think of Elizabeth Warren, and you've expressed your concerns today, so have I many times. Bottom line is, Bernie does need her. He does. He needs, Jen, you know a lot about psychology. You've studied it. Voters, it's a psychological thing too. Voters need kind of permission from the person that they've been following, they've been donating to, they've been volunteering and knocking on doors for, to go towards somebody that, right or wrong, they have hostility to. A lot of these woke Warren supporters have hostility towards Bernie and his supporters because of, she said that he called Bernie said not nice things about me. His supporters said not nice things about me. His supporter, he said a woman can't win, which we all know isn't actually what he said. So there is some bridges that need to be rebuilt. The bottom line is, whether you like Warren or not, whether you think she's a progressive or not, I mean, I want to go through the list here, Jen, because I think it's important. If Elizabeth Warren would have dropped out after South Carolina, which she should have, I mean, to me, her staying in was not strategic. It was delusional. There was no way, based on the polling across Super Tuesday states, that she could have expected on Super Tuesday to get enough delegates or enough of a surge to, re-enter the front, re-enter the top levels of competitiveness. After South Carolina, I think she knew, and her campaign knew, that she was not going to bounce back. So staying in, I mean, she cost Bernie Sanders Massachusetts. She cost Bernie Sanders, from what it looks like, Minnesota. She cost Bernie Sanders a much wider margin in California, which has the most delegates. It's possible looking at the numbers, she very well could have cost Bernie Sanders Texas. So, the whole narrative that is now getting, Neera Tanden and Chuck Todd and all of CNN and MSNBC, a thrill up their leg. That whole narrative of Biden surging could have been the opposite if Elizabeth Warren would have just seen the writing on the wall. So whatever, she chose to block Bernie, and the results are the results. But by the numbers now, to me, and I tweeted this out, I think Elizabeth Warren is really a case study in what Washington does to most people. Elizabeth Warren, when she entered the Senate, I believe was very, very progressive. I liked her. I know you did. I know a lot of viewers liked her. Great comments, sticking it to the wealthy. You didn't get rich by yourself. You brought your goods to market on the streets that we paid for. That Elizabeth Warren was great. I think that Elizabeth Warren could have won the presidency in 2016 if she would have just had some conviction, said, no, I'm not going to just, stand by and throw flowers at the coronation of Hillary. I'm going to run against her. Bernie said, I would have not run. If you think Bernie Sanders at 74 then wanted to schlep around the country, I don't think so. So I think Elizabeth Warren, it is a case study. A lot of times there is truly progressive people. Even some of these establishment people started out as progressive. They get to Washington, they drink that slow cocktail of gradualism. Let's make some trade-offs. This isn't what I want, but I got to compromise for the greater good. And they start lying to themselves that if they start making trade-offs, if they start compromising with corporatists and establishments now, it will help them get into power. And then when I get into power, then I can do all the progressive stuff I want. But that's just not how it works. And I think that's the trade-off Elizabeth Warren has mentally made. I mean, you mentioned earlier, WikiLeaks showed that in 2015, before Hillary announced, before Bernie announced, Warren's circle was already basically negotiating with Hillary Clinton about, like, these are the types of people I want you to put in your administration. I don't want you to put Wall Street fat cats in your administration. So she was already assuming Hillary was going to win. Then in 2016, Elizabeth Warren's not a dummy. She saw the crowds for Bernie Sanders all over the country. She saw the energy. She saw the movement. But because she's not at her heart a movement progressive, she's not a movement progressive. She's a kind of limousine liberal, Massachusetts liberal. It doesn't make her a bad person. I think at her heart, she does truly believe we need to regulate Wall Street a lot tighter. I think she does believe in a lot of the plans she's written. But at the end of the day, she's a technocrat. She's not an activist. She's a technocrat. She's not an organizer. She's a technocrat. She's not a visionary. And those are two different things. Obama was a technocrat, and Warren is a technocrat. And you could write very detailed plans, and that might really excite over 45-year-old women in Cambridge and around the country. But that was never going to reverse what is the United Corporations of America. So to me, listen, if I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter, I would stop with the snake emojis for a few days. Stop with the animosity for a few days. This is cold, hard politics. You could be mad at her. You could think she's a sellout and all those things. But Bernie needs Warren a lot more than Biden does. And if Warren were to endorse him and campaign for him, that is, look at where Bernie did weakest in the Super Tuesday. Yes, he got clobbered among African Americans, but that's not why he lost. He lost because Biden is winning a lot of these suburban areas with women, which is where the Democrats did best in the midterms. That is Elizabeth Warren country. Suburban professionals, college degrees, advanced degrees, that's Elizabeth Warren's territory. And that exists in Michigan, that exists in Wisconsin, that exists in Ohio, Pennsylvania. There are a lot of suburban areas that are more affluent, that are more wealthy. And the polls that you cited where Bernie, among her second choice, her voters' second choice, where Bernie is currently at 43% to Biden's 36%, I think with Elizabeth Warren endorsement of Bernie, you could see that go to Bernie at 50% of 50% of Elizabeth Warren supporters supporting Bernie over Biden. The other thing is, the corporate media is not covering it. We have. If you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, you should be dancing naked jumping jacks today. Well, maybe not naked. Because now you are getting one-on-one Bernie versus Biden. Not just on the policy, but I've said, listen, we're not doctors. But looking at how Joe Biden has been talking, and he doesn't know where he is, he doesn't know what office he's running for, you put one-on-one on stage for an hour and a half, 2 hours, the more Joe Biden has to talk, the more people are going to see this guy is no longer all there. I'm just being honest. That's the truth. He's not all there. And with 9 or 10 other candidates on stage, he was able to cover for it more. You're not going to be able to cover it one-on-one for there are 2 more debates. So to me, I think Bernie really needs her. I don't. My gut is she will probably not endorse anytime soon because, again, she's more calculating than conviction, which is unfortunate. If she believes in what she says she believes in, listen, this isn't 12th grade. This isn't high school. You might be upset at Bernie. You think he talked down to you or whatever, but there's bigger things at stake here than, feeling, you were wronged. So hopefully she endorses him. I think Bernie yesterday said all the right things and was complimentary. I think his supporters, Bernie's supporters, listen, we do it all the time. We go to family events. We don't love our in-laws. We don't love all our family members, but we're nice. We're respectful. Stop with the snakes. Stop with that stuff. Just imagine if Bernie dropped out, you'd be really upset, right? So her supporters are upset. Whether you agree with her or not, now is the time to try and bridge the divide. Elizabeth Warren right now, if you're a progressive, is a means to an end for Bernie Sanders. He needs that extra 7 to 10% could be the difference between Bernie winning Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I completely agree. From the standpoint of Elizabeth Warren supporters are real sad. So for progressives out there who might support Bernie Sanders, think about put yourself in their shoes. And the means to an end comment is perfect. She is a means to an end. We know who she is, but we also know we need, Bernie Sanders supporters need her supporters.
Yeah, and honestly, listen, I never told people to do snakes anyway, but the point is, I'm not saying be nice and deferential because you love her, but the bottom line is, you need her. The bottom line is you want Bernie to win the nomination, right? One-on-one on a political playground, Bernie is far superior to Joe Biden. He just is on policy, but more importantly on delivery. Bernie is coherent and not falling apart. So I think that, but right now, if Elizabeth Warren supporters, they need the permission from Bernie Sanders, but I'm sure with Elizabeth Warren's decision-making right now, if she's going to endorse Bernie, it might help for Bernie supporters online to be highly kind and deferential. I mean, she's a human being too. So whether you like her or not, whether you think she's a sellout or not, and she is in a lot of ways, the bottom line is this is just cold hard politics. Bernie needs her more than Biden needs her. So if Bernie people want that endorsement, they're going to have to be, play ball. And the last thing I'll say, I got to go to the doctor. I think that Michigan and why we decided to go, you and I were talking about it, is very important, is because it's not just important in terms of the Democratic primary. It's important in terms of Bernie's making the case. Michigan and Wisconsin and Ohio and Pennsylvania, that is the electability argument right there. That is whoever wins the primaries here among the Democrats has the argument to make. I am the most electable to defeat Donald Trump. These are the states that put Donald Trump in the White House. So I think it's critical. If it's close, I don't think if it's close and Bernie loses, I don't think it would matter that much. But if Bernie wins Michigan, well, that is the electability argument. How Joe Biden says he's most electable. I'm winning the states that are the most critical to taking back the White House. So that's why we decided to go. There's 900 people watching right now. I will say very, very kindly, I think we've grown over 600 members since Iowa. So thank you to all our new members. I will ask you who are not members, consider it. Have you seen other independent outlets on the ground with no corporate funding, with no plutocrats funding them? In Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, California, now Michigan. Like Jen said, we had to take out a small loan to not only afford the travel, but to afford to market it. YouTube is severely suppressing us. We have so many people. Jen has people coming up to her now. I have people coming up to me now that literally say, Jordan, I'm glad you're back. We've been, this channel has existed for almost 2 years, meaning people have not been seeing us on YouTube for 2 years because we are suppressed that bad, to the point where we had to actually take out a loan just to put in ad dollars to get seen the normal amount we would have been seen before YouTube changed its algorithm to fuck us up the anus. So the bottom line is, excuse my French, and thank you, Jacqueline, 100 pounds in the super chat. Thank you.
That's amazing.
For all your hard work. Jen and Jordan from a London Corbynista and Bernie Boomer bro.
Woo!
Love it.
Jacqueline, thank you. And Rick, I'll answer your question in a second. Also, Jordan, did you see we have a new member, Steven?
Woo! Welcome to the party, Steven. I believe we are now 196 members away from 2,000. So, yeah, we got to keep growing. I will be back later in the week, but we are very, very much looking forward to seeing Jen in Michigan. And after Michigan, a week later, we got Ohio. Ohio is after Michigan a week later. That's an important state. Arizona is on the same day as Ohio. So we're hoping we have enough funding to cover those states. And then after that, you got Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New York, Florida. There's so many states we'd like to be on the ground covering. So we need you. Statuscoup.com/join. Thanks for letting me call in, and keep it on.
Bye, Anat. Bye, Jordan. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so you heard the man. Statuscoup.com/join. Keep the memberships coming. I'm going to go for just a little bit longer. I'll take questions and comments. So leave super chats, and I'll give you my opinion on things or whatever, answer your questions. From Rick, and forgive me if I mispronounce it. I assume it's Dumay. Rick Dumay, $5 in the super chat. Does Bernie offer her VP for endorsement? Does he think he can still win with her endorsement? It's now or never for Bernie, right? So let me break that down. Does Bernie offer her the vice president spot for endorsement? I think, what do I think? I think he may. And I think that would be a good move, to be honest with you. Does he think he can still win without her endorsement? Yes. I think he thinks that he can win, or he wouldn't be in the race. And I do think there's a path for him. Super Tuesday was real hard. Super Tuesday was tough for Bernie Sanders and his supporters, but he still has a path to the nomination. Anything can happen. This race changed dramatically over the past 3 days. Very dramatically. I mean, this we'll be talking about this week for years to come because it's been so wild in the history of electoral politics. Now or never for Bernie. I don't think Bernie's in like a dire situation right now. Yeah, it's not great. He didn't, it's not great that he didn't win Texas, but you have to look at the delegates. The last I looked, I haven't looked this morning to be honest with you, but he's only 65 delegates behind Joe Biden. Last I looked yesterday. So you have to keep that in mind. The sky is not falling. It would definitely be helpful if Elizabeth Warren endorses Bernie. It would definitely be good, I think, for his ticket in the long term, in the general election to have Elizabeth Warren there, because I think that would I think people could really get behind both of them in this country. I'd be interested to know what Jordan thinks about that, but that's my opinion on all of that. Thanks again for the super chat. Keep them coming. Keep the questions coming. Neil Madero, $2 in the super chat. This is why the governor of Michigan endorsed Biden today. Yeah, and I didn't bring that up either. Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, endorsed Joe Biden, and so did the former governor of Michigan, Jennifer Granholm, the one who was there before Rick Snyder. So, as you guys know, Jordan and I are very invested in Michigan because we are invested in Flint, and in knowing, having sources tell us things about Gretchen Whitmer and things like that, it doesn't surprise me. She was never going to endorse Bernie Sanders. So it's not surprising that she endorsed Joe Biden at all. And yeah, it's probably why she went ahead and endorsed Biden today. Any more questions before I sign off? statuscoup.com/join. Keep the joins coming. You get awesome, amazing behind the scenes content, behind the scenes videos, extra reporting. We make our reporting free for everyone. We put it up on YouTube, but the way that we make money isn't through ads. I mean, we have YouTube ads just as part of being on YouTube, but the way we make our money, and it's not like making money to like profit like crazy and go to the Caribbean. It's making money in order to go to places like Michigan, is through membership, is through super chats, is through PayPal, paypal.me/statuscoup. You can support us at any amount, and please do. Every single amount helps us so much. You can also go to gofundme.com/status-coup-news. You can also find those links on our website, statuscoup.com. If you want to support us in another way, go to or email us at info@statuscoup.com. Deborah Down asks, does your extra reporting go beyond fundraising for your channel and reading New York Times articles? Deborah, I sense your snark. I appreciate snark. Snark meets snark. Yes, Deborah. If you saw how hard Jordan and I work, you would drop on the ground because we work nonstop. I can't, I'm not on the ground right now with Elizabeth Warren, so I can't get firsthand reporting right now. So that's why I read a New York Times article, Deborah. And wait for our story to drop that's coming out soon. And stay tuned to our channel because we do a lot of original in the field reporting that no one else does. That's the whole point of us. That's why we fundraise, is because we go in the field. So Deborah, you're welcome to see yourself out, or you're welcome to stick around and get real reporting that you can't find anywhere else. statuscoup.com/join. Thanks so much, Deborah. Deborah Downer, more like, am I right? All right. I'm going to sign off soon. John MBWA, $10 in the super chat. I say, Bernie, give her the VP. Jen, it is dire. I have been depressed. We got to win. We just have a week to turn this around. Forget what she did. What we are fighting for is bigger. For example, Flint, 6 years. Yeah, as I said, I think it would be amazing if she did get the VP slot, even if it's in exchange for the endorsement. Whatever needs to happen, I think that would be good on both ends. I don't think it's dire, though. If people give up now and feel like it's dire and stay home, then it will be dire. I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. People have to fight. So if you are someone who is sad about Bernie Sanders not doing so well or not doing as well as expectations on Super Tuesday, then I'm not an activist, I'm a journalist, but a lot of activists and people who are out there working and volunteering all day would tell you, phone bank, text bank, get out and canvass. Don't just sit there and be sad. Get out there and spread the word about the progressive policies that Bernie Sanders is fighting for. I understand being depressed. I was real down on Super Tuesday, but I have to keep reporting. I have to keep fighting to give the microphone back to the people, which is what we do here at Status Coup. So it's not dire. Bernie Sanders isn't out. It's not the end of the road for him. This race has rapidly changed, and it could continue rapidly changing. Don't forget that Joe Biden isn't doing so hot, and it's likely to get worse. He can't remember where he is. He can't remember what he's done. He can't remember what he's doing. It's not good. So really, this is a two-person race now. So if these Democrats who purport to want to beat Donald Trump, the answer is Bernie Sanders. The only answer is Bernie Sanders for a variety of reasons. So forget what she did. I agree with that as far as it being a means to an end. What we were fighting for is bigger. So yeah, keep fighting, John. My heritage. So Ella Lala, your name's hard to say. Lala Lawler says, "Hey Jen, what is your heritage, if I may ask?" I am mostly British heritage, some German, a very small amount of I got my results back and I was like, Jordan, I have a small amount of Jew in me. So that's it, really. A lot of British. A lot of British. Paul says, Jen, stay positive. I am. Oh, the sex spots are here. That means you guys have to join. statuscoup.com/join. Keep it coming. Make sure you read all of the super chats. I apologize if I missed any super chats. Please tag me if I did, or write us at info@statuscoup.com. Oh, here's one. A DT hater, $5 in the super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat sticker. I love it. I love the stickers. They're so cute and positive and happy. Little guys dancing, blowing a horn. Very cute. William Emerson, $5 in the super chat. Can you investigate last-minute polling location closings in Super Tuesday states like Texas, as well as South Carolina closing locations at the last minute? Yes. So we are really stretched thin, but we are looking into that. We have Sam Oser, who lives in Texas, who has done some work for us in the past, who has been telling us information and yes. So I think it is important, those races are kind of in the rear view mirror for a lot of people. But if there are shenanigans, please let us know. If you know of absolutely anything credible, please make sure it's credible. Please, we will vet absolutely everything, and we don't just accept just because someone emails us or messages us. We don't accept it as fact. But email us at info@statuscoup.com if you know of anything, because we definitely want to report that. Scrolling to see if there are any more super duper chats, or any more questions. William asked again. I'm so sorry that I initially missed your super chat, but I appreciate the second one. Let's see here. Oh, those sex bots. Okay, so I'm going to sign off. We might be back later if we have any more news, because Elizabeth Warren is going to give a press conference today and speaking directly to press. Unfortunately, we're not there. We're not in Massachusetts. So, Deborah, we will be, reporting based on the reporting that's out there in the field. But we'll let you know whatever happens. If Bernie gets the big endorsement, please continue joining statuscoup.com/join. And leave any support you can, and paypal.me/statuscoup. Please keep spreading the word about Status Coup. We rely on you to help get the word out. statuscoup.com/join, and tell everyone about us. Tell your cat and dog about us. All right, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.